Let's see. Okay, hopefully. Okay, we're live, guys. I'll wait a little bit for you guys to come in. I know you guys wanted to ask some questions. Hi, Trial Junkie. Hi, Amy. Hi, guys. Hi, Jojo. Hi, Lisa. Anybody coming from Alex's, if you guys want to. Hi, Kali. If you want to ask me any questions. Hi, Lulu. Lulu says hi. Hi. Okay. Yes, you have to be the center of attention. And the boy's coming too. So 1 second. Let me see if I can wrangle these kitties. Okay, hi Chickpea, hi guys. Okay, yep, I'm just gonna wait for ACV to come in. Hi Rebecca, hi guys. If you guys want to ask any questions about Alex, it's definitely a good time to ask if you were having any questions about his live and what they were talking about. Yeah, so hopefully everybody's doing well. Hi Shibby, hi, how's it going? Long time no see, guys. So we'll see if I can clear up anything with what Alex was talking about with Noe. So yeah, I have I've been working on several presentations, so I think I know, but it's scary to talk about. Okay. Well, you guys can always email me too if you ever have questions. What do you talk about? Well, he and Noe talked predominantly about like trafficking and Keegan Klein and the Dropbox and a lot of the stuff around that general, you know, topic, theme. Yeah, a lot of unpleasant things. So sorry, guys. I had to rush and put on some makeup, but I was outside watering earlier, so I haven't had time to really get cleaned up. Very well, it wasn't as hot as it can get, but the Dropbox, yeah, so I think the Dropbox was just like it was a place where they could store a lot of CSAM. The numbers and dates too. Yeah, we did talk about the numbers and dates, but so the Dropbox I think is just like it's a place where you can archive or you can compile all of the different materials like the videos and images and other stuff. So yeah, that's what the Dropbox is. And so, you know, if there were names tied to it, like Anthony Schatz or the Emily Ann, or was there another one? Eleanor 18. And there was more than one. It is online, Trial Junkie. It's like, so Dropbox.com is kind of a place where you can like go and compile your own database or your own like you know it's basically like if you were to like make your own private compendium of whatever. Hi Scout, hi, how's it going? Yeah, so file sharing app, yeah. I would say it's like the Google Drive and iCloud and all of that. Hi Nancy, hi, how's it going, guys? Yeah, so but yeah, if you guys have any questions that they are insulated, yeah, it's insulated, so you would have to have like a password to get into it. You'd have to be able to probably know the lingo. I'm sure they didn't just have like videos but who knows, I don't know. So, but yeah, guys, if you want to ask any questions, go ahead. Like I said, I'm working on several presentations. The Cult of 13 has gotten pushed back because I'm doing one on like the plant situation of the case, basically, because it is so pertinent to understanding the trial. So 213 is basically a calling card. It's how people identify each other. So like, you know how like in neo-Nazi groups, if you have like, the letter 14 for like the 14 words of like, we will ensure that, that white kids continue to go and carry on the race and whatever that lingo thing is, whatever that motto is, that's like a calling card. So so like numbers like 1488, I think that was the year Hitler was born, stuff like that. Like what's another, I always think of like the worst stuff, but like let's say that like you guys were into, or how about sports? Sports is a good analogy. Like, say you're a White Sox fan and somebody is wearing like a little White Sox logo. That's how you would identify that person. It's just that, 213 is definitely more specific and niche to, like a sports team. So, but it would be that like-minded people on the internet would see that code and would understand that like, oh, these people probably have some of the same interests that I have, if that makes sense. So fish is another, yeah. I'm not sure what fish is, but there's a lot of ocean references too. Cox makes one. Pizza's pizza, yeah. But fish was like, it could have been a play on like, Jesus and the fish and the stuff like that, because, Jesus was the age of Pisces or whatever. And now I think we're going into like the age of Aquarius or whatever, but there's like that kind of thing. So it's kind of like an inversion. It's like a mockery of Christianity a little bit. That's where a lot of that satanic stuff comes from. But I think when people are like inverting or hi Crystal, if they're making like things, if they're mocking things that are sacred to say like Christianity, I think that is also another way to flout Western culture and Western values. And keep in mind that a lot of the people that work behind the scenes in like groups like 09A, 764, the cult one that we're finding now, a lot of those are they proclaim themselves to be accelerationists, and accelerationists are really people that want to speed up the downfall of civilization. It's like anarchy but on steroids. So yeah, So, and I put another tower right next to the other from murders. That was 213. Yeah. So the also like with what I have hypothesis discovered, it was like 2,130 feet, and at a 213-degree angle, where the girls were found in relation to this tower, this cell tower that was, I think, on Ron Logan's property. Tacos too. That would be great. Yeah, it's in there, and but first I had to go through like the aesthetics of everything. So like I have to be able to explain to people this is like a calling card. This is how people identify each other. Um, and like memes are like a language that people use to communicate. And how that is very significant of internet culture, but it's also like this very it becomes like an even more exclusive club, so to speak, because if you know kind of thing. So if you guys ever hear that kind of stuff, if you know, you know. I mean, it's not necessary. It's not necessarily nefarious. It's just that's what that kind of stuff is. Should have brought my water up here. But yeah, so hopefully ACB comes in like a cult. Yep, like a leaderless cult, Lisa. Um, because like it's weird that there's especially with like the plant stuff. I've been looking into hive minds and um, groupthink, and when people become very emotionally connected to like these parasocial relationships that they get in with people on the internet, then they're willing to, go to bat for these people, and that can get pretty nasty pretty quickly. So yeah, cheese pizza, like child porn, the C and the P. Yep. That was like, what was that? Was that called Pizzagate or something? Um, I don't know how like accurate that particular situation was, but I do know that I have seen um like a lot of symbols like cupcakes, um rainbows, butterflies, I think unicorns. No, maybe not unicorns, maybe it was like lotus flowers. You see a lot of images online, and like on social media, like people on Facebook will be like showcasing their little, I don't know, charms, or like if they have something on. Where do you see them? You can see them in a lot of emojis, and that's another thing, like you know cartels, biker clubs, they can use emojis to, or even memes to signify like, that something got dropped off, or that, you know, um, they can communicate through different emojis. So like, maybe they'll have, and this isn't to say that like it's just biker clubs or whatever, but like in trafficking, um, food can, like the cupcakes have been delivered, but can signify like kids and stuff. So these effed up individuals have to co-opt and run everything. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of internet folklore. Um, so how many of you have actually had someone seriously use emojis that way with you? Yeah, so I mean, like, of course, you know, adults when they're sexting can do the peach and the eggplant and only people those kind of emojis for like, if you're sexting someone or whatever. You can get up to that kind of stuff, right? Probably clam could stand for something. You guys know, pineapple for swingers. I have seen where like in grocery stores, like the upside down pineapple in the cart was to signify that you were a swinger or something. I don't know. But pineapples can also refer to like the map or the minor attracted person. That can be how they kind of communicate. Like the FBI has notably seen how like blue spirals can be for little boy lover, or like triangles within triangles can be little boy, like boy lover, little boy lover. Hearts within hearts can be like little girl lover. Um, yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff. Only if you believe in it, yeah. Yeah. Well, the eggplant emoji can stand for like I'm sorry. I have never like fully grown up, but like it can stand for wiener. Sorry. I apologize. Yeah. Um Dick. It can stand for dick. So and that's whack. Yeah, but that is the some of like the coded language that like genuine criminals will use. So sorry guys. I did not wiener. It's such a funny word. Yeah, you could use a hot dog for that too, but I've just seen a lot of people use eggplant. I think because, like, I don't know how much of the rest of the world besides maybe Germany is into, like, sausages the way that we are. Tacos. Tacos could be something. Yes. So, what are we going to do? I think knowing as much as you can is one of the best things that you can do, but I don't have the answers. I can just tell you what I've witnessed and like yeah, I guess what I've witnessed. I don't really know any other way to explain it. Um if you pay attention to it, and I'm sure like once they realize that more people are onto them and onto looking for the symbols, looking into like the emojis and all that stuff, I'm sure that it would um they would have to pivot and change it up. So yeah, yeah. What MILF and Delaware? Oh. Yeah, there's people that have those fetishes. There's definitely a lot of people too that use like mama and daddy language. And hi goddess. Hello. Um I mean like I don't know. I don't ever try to judge people based on like their kinks or anything, but the daddy thing is a little too much. It's always been a little bit too much. Yeah. It shouldn't bother you. Yeah, should be. So basically, I came live to see what ACV wanted to ask because he was like, "Can you decode Alex for us?" And I was like, "Okay." So here I am. Too many pesos. Yeah, too many pesos. Um, but yeah, so basically, when Alex is talking about MK Ultra, he's definitely talking about people that they are maladjusted, so they behave very differently than probably regular people would. So for instance, like they become hyper fixated on certain individuals, come after them extra hard. MK Ultra is real, yeah. Decode him for us, yeah. MK Ultra is real, but like I think when people see when he says MK Ultra, I think it literally goes to like they're seeing somebody in a lab strapped down, getting like, either pumped full of some sort of hypnotic drug, or like there's some, you know, weird dude Jedi mind tricking them or something. Um, but I think Trial Junkie, there are ways that you can still fragment people's identities without having to go to those kind of lengths that we see. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, come on. No, you don't need to. Okay, Jesus. Let me put my hair up. Yeah, so basically, if you have a traumatic childhood, even if you have like a traumatic period of time during your childhood, I think it's like around age 2 or 3, that if you were neglected by your parents at that age, something pretty crazy can happen. It goes on to affect you later on in life. So there's that. But I think too, like if you are growing up in a system like the foster care system, or like Lisa was pointing out with prisons and different kind of schooling, like boarding schools and stuff, besides just like the foster care system, juvenile detention, places that aren't the typical structural familial unit kind of thing. And that's a very good. Kali Yuga makes a great point, because it was so traumatic, right? And I think we are seeing that too right now with what's going on in Iran. Hi, Jake. Hello. So, any school too, like Lisa was saying, yeah. But so the MK by the 9/11 stuff, I think like besides like the culture war of being left or right in this country, I think there is some real trauma that is still very much built into a lot of people. So when we see that like we're going into the Middle East and we're, potentially getting ourselves involved in another quagmire, I think a lot of us get a little antsy. Now, regardless of whatever the political beliefs are, there was a very specific objective to take out nuclear facilities, and hopefully it's one and done. Or if it needs to keep happening just at nuclear facilities, then that's where it stays, right? So I think there is a lot of that trauma, and it's a PTSD reaction a little bit collectively, when we're like, I really don't want to do this, you know. So yeah. So basically, like the MK Ultra does, like it brings up like the Manchurian Candidate and like the Sirhan and all of this like built-in CIA lore of secret, you know, experiments that go awry. But I think it doesn't have to be that extravagant. I think it can literally be as simple as like having a very bad childhood, having something happen to me at a very young age, feeling like I couldn't rely on anyone and I didn't have anyone to defend me. So feeling very helpless, and like then maybe very dependent on people who do come into my life later on, who then can take advantage of me, kind of thing. And I think that like certain communities are going to be better able to attract those types of individuals, and manipulators too, narcissist manipulators, whatever you want to call them, are usually very good at picking up on um, people's vulnerabilities. So I thought he literally meant being Psy after brainwashed. Me too, Jojo. For the longest time, I was like, and a little bit, I think he does think that, but I think, because like kids that grow up on military bases, there was that whole thing that was out of San Francisco with the daycare stuff on the military base with the, what was that guy's name? It was like, I can't remember. Yeah. Allie Carter. I need to look up Allie Carter. Yes. Locus of control. Yeah. So, big better. That's good. That's good, Jake Rose. If you looked up, I need to look up Allie Carter, but yeah. So, and then what else were they talking about? They were definitely talking about, Keegan Kline and stuff. I think that's another thing that's going to be an issue too. Israel Keys, he needs to be thoroughly vetted. But I think like online culture is morphing us too. I think it's definitely, especially for younger people who aren't growing up necessarily the way we did without computers, without access to the internet. I think that's definitely going to be a major issue for people growing up and being able to like create boundaries in different ways and have healthy boundaries. So, the CPS connection, yep. So the CPS connection definitely goes to what, the MK Ultra-ness of it, because if you are, let's just say you're even going through the system and you're going into loving foster homes one after the other, it's still going to be traumatic that you don't get to stay with the same people. And then you always kind of have to adapt to the new people. And that's if everything is fine, right? And I never want to judge people, for anything, because everybody should be judged on an individual basis. But if you are going into like a foster care system, if you're a foster care parent, like there's this bias or this, I guess, what would you call that? Not a discrimination, but like a stereotype maybe of they're getting government aid by taking care of these children, by bringing these children into their homes. So they've, there's the conception that people can grift off of that. So like the people taking in kids, could potentially be less loving or caring for individuals, especially if it's a way for them to make money or survive. That's not fair necessarily, and it's different in every state. So yeah. So anyway, there's this potential that you're not always getting the best people that are being foster parents. So yeah, and the selling of the kids is really crazy. It is, but it's it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. So but yes, if anybody has any other questions, let me know. Mostly it is sad. It's like, don't have kids, but easier said than done, right? People's life, their lives change. They're not always, doctors can't trust anyone anymore. Yeah. And I think that's why if you do have kids, that you need to be able to communicate with them very clearly about these kind of things. And it's really difficult to do, especially the younger the child, because it's also not healthy to hover over kids either. But the way that everything is now, it does feel like you have to hover, so to speak. So CPS shouldn't have so much power. I don't know. I'm not sure because I've seen CPS get defunded too, so greatly dislike humanity, yeah. Yeah. Because you know, even if you bring up a child with the best of intentions, right? There's so many possibilities for them to not get a fair shake, right? There for things to go wrong. And you want to protect them and you want to give them the best life ever. And certain things, like certain hardships, do make the person. They do make you more resilient, stronger, that kind of thing. But you know, you never want them to be in a situation that, you know, is gonna really hurt them for the rest of their lives. But yeah, yeah, I thought ACV would show up, but if you guys have any other questions, because yeah, I've got the, like I said, I've got the plant presentation to work on. MP is the entire system involving CPS and trafficking. Yeah. 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 Thanks for stopping by, guys. Yeah, I've got the plant one to do. And that's mostly going to be from like my personal perspective on it, just kind of telling you guys what happened, walking you through events, that kind of thing. But basically, so you can kind of see like how the hive mind works, because eventually I want to get to the good stuff, which is Cult of 13, which is interesting in my opinion, because, you know, help people and release insects outside. You either care or you don't. Yeah, it depends. It does depend, sweet dude. Plants what? Like, you know, the plants on the case, Lisa. Like the for lack of a better term, I'm calling them plants, but it's basically just social infiltration. People who are there to knowingly or unknowingly, you know, feed a narrative and play into certain agendas. Yeah. Yeah, and maybe I'll do a live on them later too, because you know, I'll definitely just want to do them in presentation format. So, oh, my house plants, yeah. I have had to do a lot of transplanting of them. Some of them have gotten bigger, and some of them the soil's like blah. You know, you kind of need to revive it every once in a while. They must be paid. Yeah, you know, so there are definitely a lot of motivations. I would say that, like, you know, from getting paid through money or clout or you know, recognition, or, you know, there's a whole bunch of ways to get paid to carry out certain agendas. And it's not necessarily just this like very structured, organized thing either. So extorted is a good one, call it. Yep. Where you're compromised and leveraged, or somebody that you are close to or love is compromised or leveraged. You know, having vulnerabilities, and if those vulnerabilities are other people in your life, that can be a pretty strong incentive to want to, you know, keep quiet about something. But you know, let me see. Do I still have it? No, I'll have to go into my presentations to find it. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I just want to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, my Cult of 13 got to 75 slides, and I'm like, you can't do this, because like it won't even like load. So let me see. Oh no, that's saboteurs. Okay, see, and it takes it forever to open too. God damn it. All right, where was it? It was Delphi plants. There we go. Yeah, so you guys will, if you watch it, you'll hear me talk about it, but I define a plant as individuals embedded in the online community, and they present themselves as true crime enthusiasts, sleuths, allies, etc. But their real purpose is to either gather intel or push certain narratives, and they're placed into the discussion mostly inorganically, like they're purposely put into discussions to serve a hidden agenda. Um, but people will often call them trolls, but I think they are better described as social infiltrators, and they'll befriend you, form close connections. They'll have like the same concerns. They'll validate your suspicions, all while learning your strengths and weaknesses, which then they'll weaponize against you. And they'll, by betraying like your confidences or in an attempt to publicly discredit you. So, and then if you question like the narratives, oh, give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. I'm gonna have to 1 second. Say right. Yeah. Yeah, hold on, guys. Okay, yeah. So yeah, basically you guys know what I'm talking about though, right? Like um if you question the narrative or the status quo or whatever it is, um then it's dismissed as like, you're being dramatic, or it's like it's some interpersonal thing. But it's really just going to be psychological manipulation. So um and then let's see. Yeah, I still have a lot of stuff to get through to really flesh out. But basically, like, so a lot of the hallmarks and tactics are going to be like the emotional, psychological manipulation, which is going to be like the befriending and feigning support, infiltration, betrayal, love bombing, swarming, gaslighting. Um, and all of this stuff can be done directly or via proxies. You can get approached laterally or sideways and have these people come up and basically, like during the summer last summer, I was befriended by several people on Twitter who ended up, oh, they ended up being friends with someone who use the information that I talked to the people on Twitter about as, to weaponize against me, saying that I had their names in my mouth. Well, I did, because I was talking to those people who I thought were my confidants. I thought, I'm talking to these people and I'm genuinely believing that this other group of people, it's going to be so hard not to say names. It's going to be, I'll probably just have to, because it's going to be a pain in the ass to not say names. But yeah, basically, like last summer on Twitter, Veronica and Scully, who I like these people, but they befriended me and they were really nice, but they wanted to know what was going on behind the scenes because I kept getting all this like really awful shit sent to me. And God, I thought it was Prof. Then I thought it was like weirdly like Angela and Courtney. I thought it was like all of these people that had a problem with me at one point. And of course, like Angela and Courtney still have they have a problem with me now for sure. But anyway, it turns out that like what I was talking about with Veronica and Scully was getting back to the likes of Angela and Courtney because then they came in on a Dan live and cornered me and was like, well, you can't keep our name out of your mouth and all this stuff. And I was like, I only have your names in my mouth to Veronica and Scully. So that's weird, you know? Because I did tell Dan a little bit about like, you know, I got some serious flack when I believed that those mimicked crime scene photos were a part of discovery for the defense. The ones that are, you know, the woman in the purple dress and stuff. So when I questioned, I made the mistake of questioning Courtney on Twitter. I don't know how to work Twitter either. So that was a big mistake. And I basically got harassed to oblivion with gifts or whatever. And it was mostly Angela and Luke they attacked me with all these gifts and stuff and memes and whatever. It's like, oh, you guys are so tough. Oh, good job, guys. But, you know, it was clear to me that it was like, okay, well, there's certain things I can and can't talk about. Oh, hi, Zaddy. Sorry, guys. Sorry I was reading. Yeah. So, Zaddy, I'm so sorry what happened last time. The internet went down like all across the region. It was pretty crazy. I'll show you well, no, I'll have to go back to the top. I can find it. I'll have to show you the merch I'm making, guys. Yeah, but it went down. Oh boy, why is that so bright? Jesus. Okay, let me turn down the brightness on my phone. Okay. You see where that is there? That's when it went down. It was just like huge outage. It was crazy. Nobody wants to be a crazy. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, but it was such a good discussion. It was like it really pissed me off, and then I couldn't get back in. So luckily, Alex had access to turn my stuff off because I didn't. I did not have access to that. But basically, yeah. What were we talking about, guys? No one wants to. Okay, yeah. So basically, like just like everybody that befriended me ended up becoming somebody that uh ultimately what had an allegiance with somebody else, which was just so weird. Like it's a true crime community, guys. Like why is this a thing? Like what is this about? So yeah, that was interesting. Plants, exactly. So and plants too, because there are different levels, right? You know, you have your useful idiots who I think I was a useful idiot, which is why I tend to have more compassion for the useful idiots. No, oh yeah, no, she is a leader. Yeah, that's for sure. Yep. Hi, Rick H. Paid cactus. Yeah, they're gonna be cacti. The paid ones will be paid cacti. Face plants. They're just grifters. Oh, Brad did another one. Yeah, if you guys haven't and you're into Substack, Brad Blankenship just posted another thing if you guys want to check it out, but jump off Sadie and it'll all be fine. Not so much. Yeah, yeah. But oh yeah, the useful idiots, because like I definitely got, you know, wrangled in Dan's stuff last summer. And I'm still not sure what Dan was. Um you know, I don't know, because if you really watch how most of these people operate, they're on the same team. It's raining. Let's Hopefully it's not too much, but sleeper plants. They wait until there's arguing and stoke the flames. Yep. Has anyone received all of the digital exhibits? I don't know. I don't know, Jake Brooks. And I'm not even sure if that's what that fundraiser was for. I didn't bother watching it. What team, Angela and Jinx? Well, so Uniparty is the idea that all these people know each other and I think play a part. Like I think there are some people like Jinx that genuinely really do care about the families and are willing to be terrible human beings in order to defend them for whatever reason. Um, and then so like that's a tricky thing too, because like you don't know everybody's motivation, you know. So, mhm. Yeah, it is. It's tricky because the motivation could be literally like they do care about the families, but they could also be there because they're, benefiting in some way, or they owe somebody something. Told them off, yeah. Yeah. So, but then, the controlled opposition or whatever is very much like, yeah, at this point, I do think that like Angela, Courtney, HCC, those people were very much, you know, again, I don't know the motivation, because I think you can still really care about Rick Allen, but also be there for a grift. So, oh yeah, no, those are the transcripts. Sorry, yeah. The fundraiser was for the transcripts. That's right. Okay. But yeah, a single USB, I don't know, Jake. Again, that's like something for criminality to look into. I'm not really, you know, that's not my forte. But yeah, all I know is that like certain things really need to be questioned. I do think that Rick did not get a fair trial because of all of the shenanigans that led up to um, his trial. So there was so much leaked discovery. People were kind of like exchanging it like it was a commodity. Um, and that's just not good. That's just not good. And like we know it was leaked because Tobor, when he was on stupid murder shit, was talking about the pings and shit and the GPS and all of that. So like, I know there was leaked discovery and why. And then like regardless of how available like the mimicked crime scene photos were, um because they had been on Brad Holder's um Facebook page at one point, but the fact is that like if Courtney got that directly from like the defense team, like a Matt Hoffman, um it's still kind of discovery, guys. And it's like, why are we doing this? I know, like, maybe you want to make a point and say, like, no, Brad does look like the guy, but like, that's not for you to do. That should have been for the attorneys to do. So, yeah. And then the attorneys didn't do a great job. Why mark so many police officers and many others? Why all the resignations? People that were on the team in the end were all criminals. Yeah. Well, I think it's an elaborate cover up because I think a big part of that economy is definitely drugs, because we know there's a history of drug trade and manufacturing in that area. But then I think also trafficking. You know, it's not out of the realm to see that, like, a judge was engaging in, like, you know, I don't even know, because when you go to look up that stuff that Jalen Rain talks about, there's not really like a bust of like a brothel or anything. It's not very clear what it is, right? But the fact that a judge was engaging in that, and that this guy was also like, he volunteered to be in CASA, the child advocate for the court stuff, court appointed something advocate, right? Whatever, for kids. It's just too much. So, and the fact that Anthony Shots is based out of that area. When YouTubers were there, they said only closing arguments, they could actually see photos, a lot of handouts to the jury, keeping even the public from seeing until closing. Gull 2 would have to have been in on it, yep. But if there were a lot of shenanigans going on, then I could see why Gull would be very special. Yeah, court appointed special advocate. Thank you, Jojo. Hi, Gull. Yeah. So I think a lot of people all, if to be fair, like, we still don't know what it is. People that put a lot of time and effort into this. So, it as an attorney, it would be very difficult to know what exactly you're getting yourself into, but at the same time, you got to be willing to go all the way, and to just rest is weird. It's just weird. But again, like, trauma response, when you you get used to so many weird things on this case that eventually, like, you're overstimulated. You're exhausted. You're mentally tapped out. So, say it. Family quarters corrupt where I live, breaking up families, creating weekend children. Okay. Sued Gull yet? Median citizens with civil rights violation. Minors Council. Yeah. Yeah. So, again, like, I don't like doing the YouTube, like, having to investigate the YouTube side of it, because to me it's fucking frustrating. Like, these people, if they've been fucking with this case this entire time just because they have, at best it's just a grift, dude. At best it's just a grift, because what is so fucking important to go in and fuck around on an investigation and a case that involves 2 fucking dead kids, you know? And think of all the other injustices that get no light of day because we're all still so fucking preoccupied with these 2 kids that never got fucking justice. On top of the fact that a guy did not get justice either. But he got, their deaths pinned on him, their murders, their brutal murders. We have no idea how they even, the timeline of events, like what really happened to them. So the best thing that we have going for us is the observable dynamic. Hi, big fish. Hello. Long time no see. Which is so important to say, Lisa. The best thing we have going for us is the, what we can observe. And the human behavior has been massively off the charts, like of obvious. So for the huge Dropbox, aside from KK, and that's a huge issue too, because let's be real, we all know who is potentially behind Anthony shots, right? We're not rocket scientists over here, guys, but we know who is potentially behind that, right? Am I right? Going to be hard for any appeal attorney to cite trial happenings that made the conviction a farce and a railroad, purposeful misconduct from all levels. Yep. The Dropbox. What do you think of the cartridges being ejected by Ellie on the carpet floor? What? Hi, Diana. Hello. I am not aware of that, actually. Yeah. Guys be arrested for CCM after the Dropbox comment was made. Yeah. See, I think CCM is an excellent way of leveraging people. Nobody wants to be associated with that shit. So, and who knows, like, how the, let's say, oh God, here we go. Hi, Diana. You okay? Anyway, yeah. I thought ACV would show up. Okay, well, if anybody else has any questions about Hi Houdini, they say hi. Diana says hi. he's gonna be okay. We'll see. But if anybody needed anything else, all the top refs in Indiana are child do it. Yeah, well, it's a good way to keep people afraid. Is Houdini fixed? Yeah, he is. But he's noisy. He has opinions. Nice. It's like your cat's name. Sounds like he's in heat. Yeah. No, he's just loud. He's just loud. Loud boy. He's an orange kitty. I don't know if that is why, but crack a pet. Yeah. But yeah, if anybody has any questions about what Alex was talking about with Noe, let me know. Men don't go into heat. In this couch. His name. Oh, Nasser. Yeah. He was protected pretty well for a long time. A lot of people in higher up institutions, and yeah, it's weird. It's weird and it's gross, and it's like of like any sort of organization is compromised in that way? So, oh, sweet dude. Yeah, Nasser. Because, like, you know, there's never going to be good enough statistics on how many people are actually genuinely attracted to kids. Because nobody's going to self-report on that, right? What if that opened up some wounds and that's why the Dropbox wasn't fully researched? No, I don't think it was fully researched at all, because like Miss Bojangles was saying in Alex's chat that she was like, we want to know who else was in that Dropbox because we don't want them around our kids, obviously. And what if it was a local thing, so that it was like this local fucked up shit of like getting kids that you would see every day. Hi, Moss. To understand what's your strategy, Moss? Covering for that filth, yeah. Yeah, Jake. So many people that are. Yeah, I don't know, Diana, because like, would we ever know? Would we ever know the real number of people that are minor attracted? And I do think that I think that it genuinely was, I think it was like some local fetish kind of thing too, because if you're seeing, if say there are pictures in there of the local kids, maybe that's why they're very protective of the Dropbox, right? Because especially if it's like going on under their noses and it becomes their own kids in their own backyard, then I could see it being very like, you know, it becomes personal at that point, and it becomes shameful, like extra shameful, that they allowed it to go on. And but yeah, nobody has really come out and said anything like, why aren't we looking into these people? North America. Oh God, yeah. Yeah. This information being reanalyzed appears to indicate Kelsey may have been part of the setup. If she's getting interviewed like 5 to 7 times because she's not being, you know, truly honest with anything, then yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Robert Lindsay not trying to normalize it. I don't know, because with how many people got run off this case, and got run off this case being called like pedophiles, this is the danger of calling people pedophiles when they're not, is that then it's like, again, it's this mind trick of you get normalized to people throwing around pedophile to a point of like, is Robert Lindsay a pedophile? I don't know. Did anybody look up like any arrest records or anything? Because yeah, Simpsons and South Park always know the future, Diana. Yeah, you're right. All you read is blog entries? Okay. Well, maybe I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure Alex was saying that they tried to smear him as it has some gross stuff. Okay. Hi, Shay. Where the history of the Jared Fogle investigation, why it took 5 years to make that up. Okay, well, that's actually very interesting, Shay. That's very interesting, because maybe that's why it's taking them so goddamn long. Because the FBI gets kicked out in 2021, right? Or is it in 2019? I thought it was 2021. I can't remember now. Oh, from the pedophile perspective. Okay, that's good. Okay. So he was trying to put himself in the shoes of the perpetrator. Okay. Number 2, every all the time, same one. Swear that. Oh God. Okay. Profile names. Okay, great. So there were potentially people then that could have been that we could have taken off the streets like way earlier. Great. Great. Fantastic. I love it. I love it so much. Jesus. Hi, Nicole. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Zaddy. Yeah, if you want to, please like and subscribe. Um, I started designing the merch stuff, so it's gonna be a little cheeky. How's it going? Did leave KKL, yeah. But yeah, I came on here because ACB was like, hey, go live and explain Alex to us. So I was trying to explain. The FBI get him. Told her story. Stuck in that mess. Yeah, I think Crime Weekly did a series on the Jared Fogle case. And that was pretty much the most in depth that I wanted to go because it was still just like it was still too much, you know. It was still I don't know what it is, but there's like I think because I just can't understand it, that then I can't see these people as human. And that makes me feel awful about myself, but also not awful about myself, which makes me feel awful about myself. So it's just this loop of like feeling bad because it's like, why don't we just put you all to death? You know? Why are we allowing you to live? Kind of thing. And that makes me feel terrible because it's like, are these people born that way? I don't know. Does it develop because of bad things happening to them? I don't know. Um, but honestly, like if you're my freedom ends where yours begins. Like as soon as you go into as soon as you're like invading another person's boundaries and their ability to exist and live their own happy lives, and you're fucking them up beyond repair. Um, it's you know, there's this real like, why are you allowed to live? Like why? Um, especially kids, like why? Um, yeah. So I need to, but you know what I'm saying. Hi, Dark. Or what happened for events? Is there truth? Needs to be thought of in probabilities of variables given more or less weight for patterns. Yeah, yeah. So you're saying that Alex is basically looking at patterns. Yeah, and that we can't really establish the truth, but we can see that like whatever is going on behind the scenes is abnormal and it's concealing something. It's kind of like all the questions that Prof asked about like the video and you know, the fact that you can't say whether or not it's discovery or an exhibit is like why. You know, it should be pretty easy. Our freedom ends where the others begin. Yeah, I want to see what did you say, Shay? But I wonder if some of the same names were found in this Dropbox. That's why I brought it up. I believe you. I believe you because if they're not getting arrested this first time around with Fogel, P crime mostly inherited from parents. That's the sad truth. Yeah. And it sucks that like you become the monster sometimes if you were preyed upon, right? And that's another thing that's like, why am I such an evil person when it comes to this kind of thing? Because like everybody was once a child and in a position of being scared and not knowing what's happening. And then maybe you get conditioned or groomed to feel a certain way until like a certain thing. At what point is that, does it become incumbent upon the individual to overcome that? Oh, Alex? I don't know if he's on the. He's very smart, right? Um, Depends on the. But Moss, yeah. I mean, I don't know how well you know Alex, but um, I think too there's a lot of trauma there with him, with a lot of the whatever the fuck these people did to him, and yeah, there's a lot of rewiring of the brain that happens when you go through trauma. So, but Sadie says, depends on the amount and severity of the abuse. Yeah, yeah, and and in this country, it's not easy to get access to healthcare or to, you know, no excuse. We have agency. Yeah, I agree with that too, Moss. Definitely, yeah. Um, but the amount of severity of the abuse and like, you know, going to a therapist is so expensive. Becoming self-aware is just difficult, you know. So Moss, the way he talks is indicative, but many are on the spectrum don't know it. Yeah, yeah, it is reprehensible. Um, but what if you don't? What if you consider that normal? See, this is the thing. It's like that's why I can't judge everything one way or the other, right? Because what if you find that to be normal, what was done to you, and then you go and do it to another person, and it's oh, Alex, I don't. Well, so he was on a live doing a live, and then ACB was like, "Can you decode Alex for us?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll come on quickly, quickly, and I'll decode him for you know like, what do you want to know?" Misery Loves Company, yeah. So at age 5+. A lot of them join it in because the trauma is just so bad that they don't want it anymore. So they just want that off of themselves. Cannot break the cycle. Johnny Ash is a prime example. Can't break the cycle. Yeah, you do have to be self-aware though. It's a tricky question because to me, if I were to make it simple, it's like, well, and this would never work, right? Because you would have to self-report and nobody would ever do this. But like, you'd have to be willing to say, you'd have to be willing to go to some sort of professional that could diagnose you and say, I have these, attractions to underage. Oh, if they're imposing on others? Okay, thank you, Moss. Thank you, that's helpful. Um, you have to be able to articulate what it is that you're feeling and that it's abnormal to be feeling those things. And then you have to have access to somebody who can diagnose you and understand what it is that you're saying or talking about in order to get to this level of, hey, I think that I might be abnormal outside of like what society agrees is acceptable. And so therefore, if that person is minor attracted, if that's like the politically correct way to say it, because like part of me just wants to be like, oh, if you're a fucking weirdo, sorry, if you're going to somebody, you're getting yourself there to the professional and stating these things that like that they are minor attracted, that they are they don't see themselves able to overcome that, or they don't feel safe around people that are minors or young or whatever it is, then I think there should be chemical castration, and that's not decent either, right? That's a very terrible thing. You're basically you're going to see, so it's not like, how else do you solve that problem though? And who in their right mind would go and self-report, you know? So yeah, Kel, I know what you mean. And then to do that against their will too. I think if you do egregious crimes against other people, then yeah, then I think chemical castration is totally fine. But I think you also still need to be imprisoned. You have to serve time, you know. Yeah, and it may or may not be effective. So I guess what I'm saying is like that's the emotional part of me that's just like, we should castrate him or kill him. That's just where my mind goes, but it's not a fair thing. Um, and that's after the bad thing happens, right? So we have to wait for a bad thing to happen. Um, watch out for some of the minors too, right? Right, Shay, because some of these kids are groomed to be catfished, right? They are groomed to be sent in to allure people. So it's just a crazy world that we live in. It doesn't make any sense. And the onlineness of it is making it trickier. I just got through this book. It was really good. Kill All the Normies. And, there's a lot of like faux outrage that happens, but there's a lot of really terrible things that happen too. So, should definitely lose their emoji privilege too. Yeah. Yeah. Board of Education. Yeah. So there's no easy way about it because, again, like, if you try to go for preventative stuff, is it, is it going to work, or are people even going to self-report? I don't see that happening, but, um, but yeah, so as far as Alex stuff is concerned, I hope you guys know what he means by the MK Ultra. What was another thing that we were talking about? Oh, the K through 12. Yeah, actually, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I don't really want to go into the transgender stuff, but ultimately, like, I consider myself a very liberal person, and I don't feel like it's okay to be talking about sex at such an early age. I just don't. Yeah, and it's backed by the ACAC. It's a very problematic. Yeah, so it's if you can't drink until you're 21, if you can't drive until you're, what is it, 16, if you can't vote till you're 18, like, should we be suppressing kids' hormones? I don't know. I don't know what kids are capable of doing, but I would not want my, I don't know. Hi, Owl. So, yeah, I'm not trying to make this a political debate. I respect people that are transgender and that, go through um, whatever it is that they need to go through in order to get to where they want to be psychologically and happy. But I don't know if, like, that should be happening with kids. So, and that's a whole messy subject. But um, and then, like, some of the weird shit that's getting introduced to kids in schools is weird. It's just weird. And I don't feel okay with that. So, um, but that's just my opinion. So, it just should not be happening secretly behind parents' backs. I agree with that too, Shay. Yeah, I agree with that too. I don't. Yeah, but again, I don't have a kid, so I can't really talk about that. Yeah, I don't, yeah. I'm trying to think, what else did Alex talk about? He talked about, what was it? It was 213. What they don't teach at school, how to, like, adult. Yeah, they don't teach that at school. Heterosexualism. Well, if you go to Catholic school, you won't learn any parts of your anatomy until much later. So there's that. Oh god, yeah, further sexualizing children. And you know what? There's so many in the transgender and the LGBTQ community that are horrified by that kind of stuff too. They don't want kids getting sexualized. So, like, when they get lumped in with these other people that are going way too far, then it's like, no, no, you know? Um, yeah, they want Trump, yeah. So, let's 213 is definitely a calling card that people are using. At least, like, we've noticed in Delphi, very specifically in Delphi. I'm sure if we went down some Stevenson's and Evansdale rabbit holes, it would show up too. Right now, my current kind of, I guess, theory is that, in the way that, we don't know how Lyric and Elizabeth ended up, because they were found months later. after they were abducted, but we know that the Stevensons and Abby and Libby were posed, and very ritualistically, symbolically. We don't have any diagrams for how the Stevensons were posed, but Abby and Libby certainly have tarot hallmarks of tarot cards, at least of the major arcana. And I think that at least the woman in the purple dress from the mimicked crime scene photo definitely could be the fool of the major arcana. So if Libby's the magician, Abby's the hanged man, the woman in the purple dress could be the fool. It might be that 213 is trying to say two, as in like 1, 2 individuals, 13. And 13 in the tarot deck is the death card. So 2 deaths. And Chibi, I did take photos of what you said because it was a really good observation. So I need to remember to put those on the presentation. 213 means that item that links Stevenson's to Delphi. Yeah, we don't know what linked the item that links Stevenson's to Delphi, but I think people are using aesthetic, and like you guys, I'm sure at least like women will probably 13-year-olds too. Shay, yep. They all equal up to 33, right? It's a very Freemasonry kind of thing. 33 has always kind of been a sacred number though too. Gematria, we could look into numbers that add up to words that add up to 33 too, if we're being, thorough. That would be a good place to go too. But I think that a lot of these people want to look badass. So to them, the tarot deck is badass. And I think it's a calling card. I think it's a way of, leaving a mark. So yeah. And, Iva Apophis does that awesome work where they're showing that from where the crime scene is to where the phone tower is I think it's 2,130 feet, right? And then that the angle at which, if you were to draw a line between where the girls are found versus where the tower is, I think on Ron Logan's land, it's at a 213-degree angle too. So something very specific is being said, especially if the girls were not killed where they were found. So it's a very purposeful, deliberate thing, right? And so there's a thing that Alex was given from Louise, and Louise was looking into this thing called like the TK or the BTK case file, and it was basically looking into other similar murders around the region of where Dennis Rader was killing people. I can't remember. I think he killed up to 20 people. I could be misremembering that, but there were a lot of other very similar looking murders that looked a lot like what Rader was doing. So these people might have been copycatting him, or he might have been more active than they think. And so if they're really that smart. See, that's the thing, because like some of them aren't that smart and they are kind of fucking up. I'll have to show you a confidential report of somebody mimicking a federal intelligence report, what they would write on someone. It's going to be pretty funny. So much had to go into planning all this. Yeah. I do think if there is like, again, if this is another means of leveraging people, if you're making snuff films out of it, I agree. It's excessive, you know. Um, must derive from something deeper, possibly. And I've always thought that 213, you know, the first letter of the alphabet is A, the second letter of the alphabet is B, the third letter of the alphabet is C. I always wondered if that was like a code, you know. Um, but I always wondered if it was like, you know, how certain ciphers will use numbers for letters. It could have, you know, any of those numbers could have been assigned to any letters. And then you could have like the, you know, whatever. So, but you're seeing like, you see a lot of like times where 13, 31, 26, 93, 69, obviously, although not as much because it's pretty obvious. A lot of numbers are showing up, and that was a hallmark of the BTK stuff, because there was, you know, access to Dennis Rader's notebooks, and certain cruel, cunning, and committed, not necessarily smart. Somebody thinks they're pretty smart, and yeah, I can't talk about it, but yeah, they know who they are, and they're gonna get their comeuppance. They're gonna get it. So, um, but yeah, so I have to talk about that with the Cult of 13, because you know there were these early online internet forums where it was like it was talking about it, but it was like almost a way for people to go and potentially post, um, not necessarily like bragging about things, but like either showing how good at sleuthing they were by connecting them, or they had inside information, right? Like, so there's all these instances of these now like defunct forums and stuff. If they were catfish for this, then it wasn't personal to anyone. Maybe. I don't know. Again, like, I'm kind of one of those people that it's like, profiling is beyond me. I would not be able to profile a criminal, at least not yet, with like what I know. But I think victimology is important. I think, you know, it's interesting that Libby's dad was very much involved in the meth trade. Abby's mom was low level, involved in some meth trade. Lyric's mom and dad were involved in a meth trade, or you know, maybe, I think maybe they were just partook in it. I don't know if they sold it or not, but um, I think that's interesting. I think Charles Stevenson, what was he? Fuck, I can't remember now, but he was a nephew of Bill and Peggy. Was he a nephew? I can't remember. I think he was a nephew of Bill and Peggy Stevenson, but he also had connections to drugs, and he was in a lot of debt. QAnon, which is CIA running that program. Yeah, I think there's a lot of. I think there needs to be more intelligence officers that are actually good guys doing a good job, and I don't think there are many of those people. So, you know, nephew, yeah, nephew. Okay, with a frying pan. Yeah, that's right, Lisa. Thank you. Yep, the nephew. I can't remember. I think he passed now, but um. Oh, and Coy Cox is stepping down too. He's retiring this year, which is interesting. There's a guy that we think is compromised, but oh, I have that, JoJo. I have the Roblox. Yeah, Jinx ended up giving it up on a Peggy O live because Laura was harassing me with Jamie so much that I called out Laura and I was like, "Hey, Laura, give us the Roblox video." So if you want it, I can send it to you. But you gotta email me. It's to spread light. I don't know if they were paid directly, Zaddy, but I think a lot of people were promised like clout opportunities. Like definitely with nonprofits and stuff. It's really weird. It's really awful. It's like it's a mockery. It's basically a mockery. And they use the piano music from Amelie, which is like one of my favorite films of all time. Put it in a Dropbox and share it. Well, it is in Alex's Dropbox, the archive, I should say. He hasn't updated that though with it in it, but I can send you if anybody emails me, I can send it to you. Um, but it's pretty infuriating. Like it's mocking. There's no other way to say it. Like whoever made that video know a lot about what happened, in my opinion, and they were making fun of him. God, somebody that's smarter than me, guys. Who knows that? What Kelt's asking? Oh, the Roblox video. It's it's a video that was made okay. Moss, I agree with you. I agree with that. Mocking is the spirit around this case. Yep. It's like everybody's in on this like inside joke and it's really fucked up. It's really stupid. Like I don't know. Yeah, but they use like this beautiful piano music. Um and then I don't know. It has to be less than 3 years. I want to say 2021, but I don't know if that's accurate. Let me, you know what? Let me ask Alex. And I think if I try to play it on here, it will. Let me see. don't know if the sound will be able to play. I think I have to do it in Chrome, but I fucking hate Chrome. Let me see. Yeah, Alex says 2021, 2022. I don't remember the exact date. I think 2022. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear this sound. So, let me see. Okay, hold on, guys. Let me make sure. Okay, hold on, guys. Let me make sure. I hate my voice. Shut up, lady. Shut up. Okay, hold on. Let me. Okay, tell me if you guys can hear this. Yeah. Okay, guys. So, hi, Dom. So, it's gonna get difficult to get it to play all of it. So, I think I'm gonna have to stop it at before it gets bad. And then if you guys want to see the rest of it, um, just email me and I'll send it to you. Okay, guys, I think that's gonna be it for right now. Because it gets pretty bad. So, hi guys. Hi everybody coming in. So Alex said that the Roblox stuff was 2021, 2022, but they don't know the exact date. So, yeah, and like Kelt has been saying, it was a very intensive. Hi, Miranda. There was a lot of work that went into it. So, but yeah, that's actually in Alex's archive, but he hasn't updated it, unfortunately. Yeah. So, basically, like, the BG guy has them go down the hill. Then there's like, he has them undress, or I can't remember if both of them undress or what, but yeah, he reenacts, well, they reenact the killings, getting one of the girls undressed. And it's a long portion of it, like, you know. And then at the end, there's like a girl in a sorority. She's like a Roblox girl, and she's like in a sorority, but she takes off her pants, and then they have her jump up and down like she's clapping her cheeks. If you guys understand that, like the sexual thing, and it's just really fucking weird and awful. It doesn't make sense. So yeah. And then they hid it for a long time. You know, most people, like a lot of people don't know about it, or if they do, it's like, you know, they were never going to get to see it. So yeah, it's pretty shitty. And the fact that like they have like this little blonde girl at the end, Roblox character, jumping up and down, well, when she takes off her pants or something, it's just so, it's like it's like mocking females. It's like, I don't really know. So, but yeah, if anybody has any questions about who made that video, we don't know, because if we knew, should be, I think the people that made the video are sadistic, and I think they know more than like a normal person. Where can we see it? If you email me, Carol, I will do my best to send it to you guys. It's 14 minutes, 14 some minutes long, and it's weird. They have like a reporter come in and report on it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they even bothered, JoJo. So, yeah. I don't think we're ever going to find the people that did this. I think there were too many people on the case that needed to cover up everything. And I think there were too many people on the case that, and still are on the case, that are trying to grift off of it. So, if you guys don't have any more questions, I think I gotta get going because I definitely gotta work on those presentations. But yeah, me too, Miranda. Yeah, that definitely put me in a bad mood. Not gonna lie. That and talking about, pedos is just, it's not my version of a good time. So definitely oh yeah. Yep. Definitely, Shay. Hopefully I can send it. I think I'll be able to send it. Or the link, if there's a link still up. Will I be able to send it? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was good to see all you guys. Sorry I got in a kind of a shitty mood. Definitely, kind of shit pisses me off. Yeah, that's the in light in the dark one. Let me see if this actually takes me to where I need to go. Hmm. Wrong link. Sorry, guys. No, you're fine, Shay. It's just everybody should have this, I think, and I think it should be up somewhere where we could all go watch it. There it is. I don't know how to do that though. Okay, hold on. No. Okay, hold on, guys. Sorry, I'm not very good at this shit. Here we go. That's the correct link. Sorry, guys. But I think everybody should be able to watch this. And I think it should be up. I think we should be able to talk about it. So, yeah. I honestly don't know how to keep kids safe, guys. So with that, yeah, I think it does. Yeah, hold on, let me click on it. Yep, it's unstreamable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me see. There you go. Did I send? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So, okay. All right, guys. Well, I love you all. I hope to have like a presentation coming and then maybe a live covering it, but like I said, the Cult of 13 is 75 slides, and so it does not want to load. And so I'm gonna have to break it up. I think I'll do theory versus receipts. And actually, like I wish wish Alex would put up um his link. Do I have it? Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can. I wish I was better at this. Hold on. Was it this one? Oh, it was this one. Okay, hold on, guys. Sorry. Oh, come on. I did it. Hell yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I love you all. Everybody have a good night, and try not to think about this shit because it's just stupid. It's just not good. So, I love you all, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.